Heyo, it's Deep Convos with Meg and Fran, and welcome back to the fifth.
It is the fifth episode.
Yes, number 5, the big number 5 episode. We're so glad to have you. We hope you're well. We hope you're safe. And we have an exciting topic for today and a new guest as well. Transition.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, don't be confused. Meg just doesn't know how to transition.
I don't.
So we brought a guest in. So first, our topic today is platonic friendships with the opposite sex.
That is a big jug of water.
Possible. Yeah, I know. Like Alethea's getting ready to talk so much because it's a huge jug. No, she's a singer, so her voice needs care. But anywho, we might as well bring her in. So Alethea, why don't you give like a short blurb about who you are?
I almost like coughed my water back into the jug because it was so funny. My name's Alethea, and I am a singer-songwriter from Brooklyn, New York. Holler out, Brooklyn.
Holler.
And I'm excited. I know Fran and I met each other. Am I allowed to talk about this?
Yeah, you're allowed to talk about how we met. Yeah.
Okay, we met each other at a job in New York.
At a catering job, because we're both artists.
Because we're both artists, and that was really fun. And I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about this topic. I think it's super important and kind of misunderstood.
Important.
Yeah,
it is misunderstood. Okay, so before we dive in, I almost forgot that we talk a little bit about how our weeks were this past week before we do anything else. So you know what? I'll start. I don't care about you guys. How was my week this week? You know what? Honestly, it was very emotional, understandably, because of what's happening, but I didn't really connect the two. I was like, the George Floyd incident happened, and also I'm feeling shitty. I never connected them until literally yesterday I connected. I was like, yeah, there's like a huge like grief and anger and everything else happening right now that I'm sharing with the world. Like that's why it feels so huge, that I was like, why is there this feeling I can't control, that I feel like crying and like screaming at the same time, all the like randomly, like in like random times of the day. And then I was like, oh, it's because this collective feeling is happening, this collective outrage. So that's how my week was. Like, it honestly colored everything that I did. Like my act, like I was doing the scene in acting class, and it was an emotional scene, but I had done it 3 times before, but then like something happened at the end of it where I just couldn't stop crying. Like I couldn't control it. You know that feeling you get where there's like crying, and then there's like then there's like out of control, like you literally want to not talk to anyone because it's so ugly, and you just want to be in a corner until it stops after like, and I don't know, that's how it felt. And I was like in Zoom in front of all these people who are understandably actors, so they know what it's like to be emotional, but it was like uncontrollable. And I was like, this is why is this happening right now?
Were you also in your period?
No, my period doesn't start till like. Good question.
Yeah, it is common.
Good question.
That escalates.
Oh, I know. I know. Usually I get like that with my period too, but no, this was a whole other level. It felt very strong. It felt very like this is some sort of like planets moving weird.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Felt very cosmic. No, my period doesn't start till like late next week, so I don't even know. Yeah. But anywho, yeah, that's what was happening. Emotion, like it literally colored everything. So but today I feel better. Still that weird feeling, but not weird, it's understandable. But yeah. Alethea, how was your How's your week?
No, I mean, I totally understand you. Like, I think you were on the live stream. I cried for the first time doing a live stream. I've never cried playing music live for people because, you know, you're really stoic, right? You're like, oh, I'm here to entertain people. Like, I have to, like, positive vibes, right? And it was really hard to finish that song. And I didn't connect it either until... Yeah, it's like I talked about it live. Like it was like there's a lot to cry about, but there's also a lot to have hope for. And I think in this situation, like it's important. Like I am seeing glimpses of hope. Like there's been a recent news reports of policemen like taking part in the protest.
I saw that.
Super cool. Yeah. So like this one policeman, he like took off his helmet and like got on his knee and threw his baton down, and he was like, "I'm with you guys." And that, like, I get chills just like thinking about that. So I'm really hoping that our country like can grow from this and like just be better, you know, and we can fix this way of seeing people that's just been so destructive and so painful. So my week was definitely colored by that, and then I'm moving temporarily. I'm just saying for the summer out of New York back home to Oregon, and that has been tricky too. So that's like that was my week, is just like processing all that stuff, and the coronavirus, which is still very much
it's still
a thing,
there,
you know,
still happening
there.
Some people seem to be forgetting it outside. But wait, when are you moving again? Sorry, I keep forgetting. I know it's in June and early June.
I'm gonna start driving on, I think we're talking the 10th now. I don't know. I'm getting the date down. So,
okay. So that's what you're working on after this.
Tonight.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Just so I can plan, you know. But,
no, it's huge. Yeah.
What about you, Meg?
Yeah. Can't mute yourself forever. It's Meg.
I also want to chew gum, but I guess that's a bad idea.
You can mute yourself.
You can chew gum and mute yourself.
I literally eat snacks on this.
That's
podcast.
why the mute button exists.
Yeah.
I can also turn this off and on, I guess. Right.
Yeah. My week was good. Obviously, again, same thing as you guys, just very sad event. And it's just frustrating because it keeps happening over and over and over again. Like it's just a cycle that never ends. It's actually interesting because my husband is a newcomer to this country, as you guys know. So he's been in the States now for, I think, like 5-ish months. And like before we came here and we were working on our visa process, like he was super excited for good reason, right? Because he's from Morocco. And I mean, in a lot of aspects, America is a great country and there are a lot of opportunities here. But I was trying to tell him about some of the problems that we do have in this country, like the systematic racism and things like that. And I feel like now that he's here and this is the first big publicized event, because I have told him before about police brutality and just a systemic racism against Black people. And so I think it's been eye-opening for him to see that. And like other things too, like healthcare, like how much we're paying for healthcare and like where our taxes are going and things like that. And in the 5 months that he's been here, he's kind of realizing these things and starting to voice his kind of surprise at all of it. He's like, wow, like I was really excited to come to this country, but now I'm seeing like there's a lot of like underlying shit going on. I'm like, yeah, no shit, you know? And I told him like what happened to the man's name was George Floyd, right? What happened to George is like, he is not the first one and he's not going to be the last. Like this will happen again. And that's why it's so frustrating. And I think for me this week, my big emotion has been cynical. And I don't want to be cynical. And I liked how, Alethea, you talked about hope, because I feel like it's important to have hope. It's important to keep pressing forward, even if those steps are minuscule baby steps. And then we take 10 steps back. And it's just like the way things are in this country that's so frustrating and hard to express to people who are not American. You know, because I know all the other countries look at us with a certain lens. And when I try to express these problems like gun violence and all of that, it's hard to express it because a lot of our issues are not explicit, but they're like continuous and underlying and color a lot of the things that we do in this country. I don't even know how to talk about it, you know?
It's true. It's interesting because like when you ask people who don't live here what they think of America, it's either one of two things, or like a mixture of these two things. The country of opportunity, like probably what Mo was thinking, or
yeah, that's what he was thinking.
or like guns and violence and racism.
Yeah.
Like literally one of those two things. And
and they're both true.
They're both true.
true.
But like people don't understand the complexity and why that's happening and like what the nuances are. Even some of us, like we have like varying degrees of privilege right now, and it's like even I have to I need to educate myself more. Like it's just
yeah, no,
a fact.
I realize that for sure. Like I'm trying to read. My friend recommended this book that's titled "How to Be Anti-Racist."
Oh my god, that's on my list. I just saw that too.
So I'm gonna check that out. On yeah, I'm trying to just like listen and like elevate different voices of people that like have been working on this for years, and I'm ashamed because like I've tried in my way to help, but nothing that I feel like I should have been doing more, like and I think we all can, like that's what we all are realizing now. Like this is like like there's just so much more we can do to make things better, and the best way is educating ourselves and educating other people, and just those microcosms of racism, and checking. And what I've been doing honestly is I live in a predominantly African American neighborhood, and what I'm trying to do is like check myself in day-to-day life.
I was about to say that. Yeah
right. Like I like am I like I've been I've been breaking down the false assumptions that like I made before living here. I've been living here like 8 months now, and I've learned so much, and honestly at the end of the day we're all just people, like people, everyone runs and goes grocery shopping and like goes to the doctor, and like that's all that people are doing, and it's just crazy that some people have the freedom to do that and some don't,
right.
Yeah, but
that's such a good point. Actually, Meg, put a pin on this. Like so the Asian community and the Asian American community, even within that community, there's such a rich, like we have racism in this community too. Like I feel like that's
especially with the coronavirus happening right now. Like
that's
the biggest one.
Right. I mean, of course, but also like just speaking from the Filipino perspective, like we definitely have blatant and non-blatant racism against other groups. So I feel like that's something we need to talk about.
Well, yeah, and this is a great podcast theme actually right now is and super intense and important in this whole
definitely we could talk about this for hours, but we need to move on. There's no good segue from this to friends with
like boys,
friendships with boys. But it's like important, it's important. Like okay, so I guess we can start with what your personal experience has been like. What do your current relationships with the opposite sex look like? Like what's the current landscape like when you deal with the other sex? Are you usually dating them, or like do you have a good mix? Like what's the status?
So I have mostly guy friends actually, and I'm definitely only have friends right now. I'm not dating anyone, and that's the current landscape.
Okay. And they're all mostly like straight, like cis?
Oh, I
men?
see.
No, that's an added layer. I didn't mean to.
Yeah. No, I have two best friends from high school actually that are homosexual. And I do have a bunch of homosexual guy friends, but actually the majority are straight. And the reason, I'll just answer the question.
No, I want to know. So why do you think that is? I mean, we're going to go there.
So I think the reason is I grew up, many of my formative years I would spend with my dad and my brother when I was little, and I always had my girl best friends, but I think those years were so formative that I tend to naturally gravitate towards guys. Like it's easier for me to understand them in a way. Like it took me a while to understand girls, honestly, and they made me nervous. I don't know why. I just always felt like I was saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. But now I'm fine with either. But like, yeah, I just tend to gravitate towards guys as friends.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, you have been, I don't know when you told me this, but I feel like you were making a conscious effort to like make more good girl friends, like the past year or a couple
and
years.
you were one of them. Like I was like, I need to hang out with her, and like,
yeah. Aw. Yeah. So sweet. No, I'm glad, but that's interesting. But yeah, but because you had you had a really close, you know, a brother, right? And then like your dad, and you grew up with them. That's I have mostly girlfriends. It's really interesting because I'm a tomboy. Like, so you would think like I would gravitate towards dudes, but yeah, I've only ever, my close friends are women. I have a couple of close guy friends, but that's been a recent development. And you know, I never psychoanalyzed that, but like maybe it's because I was I, maybe it was like a subconscious fear. Like, I don't know, when we were growing up, my mother was really cautious about having us hang out with guys because she would be like, oh, because it's gonna turn like they only want one thing. I'm not even kidding you, like that's the thing she said, they only want one thing.
and
no, we're gonna say
it's
just
so offensive to guys.
Yeah, to guys. No, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I have had some negative experiences where like I'm now more cautious almost with that too. Like what's their motive? Like, why do they want to be my friend? You
right, because
know?
there's the other side of the coin where so the one side is like, yeah, maybe they just want to be friends, they're cool, but then the other side is like maybe they were trying to be friends because they want something else. Like, of course both sides are valid, but I think my mom was just of the opinion that 99% of men just want that one thing, and so we were kind of hindered in like how much we hung out with guys, and so I probably internalized it, like a lot of things I internalized growing up, is that I don't know, I could only be close to guys if I was in a romantic situation with them. And also I was a Christian. So I was like, don't be in a situation unless they're also Christian and you're planning on getting engaged and married. So there was all this layering around that. And so it was easier for me subconsciously to just be like, okay, well, there's no impingement on being friends with women. So I'm just going to like, you know, just be friends with women. But then recently, by recently, I mean like in the past, maybe 3-4 years, although longer too, but those were rare. I was able to make friends with guys that I just met through like school or like work. And I'm like, just the natural interaction that we've had, we grew closer. And I was like, I don't actually want to sleep with you. And like, we don't have any relation. I mean, there were a couple that have like, we can talk about this too. We are going to talk about it. There are a couple that I'm like only friends with them, but there's that tension. But it's like, we both know there's tension and it's fine.
Yeah, and I would love to talk about that because that's something I feel like
yes.
really misunderstood.
Yeah, I would like to unpack that too.
Yeah.
But before we go on to that, Meg,
yeah,
I know, but like Meg, talk about your experience.
I guess I relate to both of you. I'm just thinking about the totality of my 20s, and I don't know why I say that because I'm still 28, but I feel like I'm pretty much 30 now. That's honestly how it feels.
You're 30er than I am. I'm 31.
But yeah, I had a lot of problems having platonic relationships with guys in my early 20s. In fact, it was to the point where I thought it was impossible. And the only platonic friendships I had were guys who were gay or those who were like in a serious relationship. Mm-hmm. That was it. Like, I would try to have those platonic relationships with guys, but I don't know if it was like partly me or partly them, or it always like led there to some degree. So whether it like ended up happening or me having to friend zone them or whatever, it was like a constant constant problem. But now, well, I'm also married, so of course that plays a factor in it. But I don't know. I feel like there's pros and cons to being friends with girls and being friends with guys. And I think depending
We're
on
definitely going to talk about that.
Yeah, depending on what I am needing and what I am seeking in a friendship or an interaction, I gravitate to one gender or the other, you know? I mean, there's lots of great things about women, but like we talked about this last week with the period episode, we are hormonal, and that's not our fault. It's just the way we are. It's biology. Whereas guys, like, sometimes I do enjoy being with them because they're just more, and I hate to generalize because not all guys are the same, but from my experience and the guys that I know, they're just more straightforward. There's less bullshit. There's less reading between the lines. And there are some days and that I really just want that kind of interaction. You know,
yeah, that's fair.
I don't know if that makes sense. And I really am careful to not generalize because we're not all the same. But yeah, in my later 20s, I'm finding that it's easier now to have those platonic relationships with guys because I am married and I have been in a committed relationship. Like before my marriage, I was in a relationship for 5 years. So I know my place. So I think I'm just more careful of like how I approach those relationships with guys.
I want to hear more about that. Like, cause yeah, I'm not married or in a committed.
Oh, about being married.
I want to know.
I mean, it's just naturally being, well, especially with marriage, but it's like a binding contract. Like I take that very seriously. And so I, even like with Instagram, like I have in the past when like random dudes would like friend me or be like, oh, hey, like, you know, I would respond to those people. Cause to me, it's harmless. It's like, yeah, like, hello, hi. And it's like, I'm not expecting anything, but now I don't even interact with any guy, like whether Instagram, whatever, unless like they're mutual friends, like my husband and I know that person, or honestly, the majority of guys I talk to are my colleagues from work because I work with them. And that's an interaction that's necessary. If the interaction with the opposite sex is not necessary for me, you know, or it's like meeting someone new to me, it's like, why do I need that? I'm married. But that's just like my,
you know what, is it interesting to me because it's, I mean, yeah, definitely your friendships with guys are going to be affected, but I feel like being married, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that does something to how you make friends in general. And right? Like, I feel like my married friends, at least, something happened to our friendship where I don't see them as talk to them. It
actually makes it easier. I feel like it's made it easier for me though to have those platonic friendships because they know that I'm married. And so like, but then it sucks so that's like what stops guys from like hitting on you. And like, you know how in the past it's like if whether you're single or whatever, if you don't want to get hit on by in the bar, you just like put on a fake ring or you just lie to someone like, oh, I'm married. And like the fact that another person has claimed you like makes you off. But I hate that it's like that, but it's helped me too. Yeah. To kind of avoid that bullshit.
But what about when you were like committed in the committed relationship? Was that?
See, that's like more blurry because I mean that I ended up breaking up with him because it kind of like honestly the last like 2 years of that relationship were not really serving me. It was just we got very comfortable with each other and it's like I feel like both of us wanted to end it, but because we had all that history and we're so comfortable with each other, someone needed to do it, and that ended up being me, unfortunately. Yeah, like
why? Oh man, I'm so bad. I have so many.
You know what this conversation is bringing up is that we should do a dating.
We should. Yeah.
Marriage, like relationship episode.
Yeah.
Didn't we already do it?
I mean, women. Yeah.
No,
and
no,
it's
that
so
was
healthy for us to talk about this and be vocal about it because. Yeah, I mean, we all talk about it anyway, but it's cool.
No, I meant in general. I meant like not in the time of Corona dating. I meant dating and like the nature of what we're talking about, the nature of relationships.
I was just curious, and you can, I don't know, you don't have to answer because it's personal, but
that's okay.
Yeah, how did you end it, and why did you finally decide to end it?
Oh gosh, I talked a little bit about this with your roommate.
Oh yeah, it's in the relationships.
Oh.
Yeah.
Episode.
It just honestly got stale. It wasn't serving me anymore, and that was one of the reasons why I traveled overseas. Is I needed my own space, and in retrospect, I would have approached it differently. I would have video called him and like manned up and broken up with him that way. But I ended up writing a letter to him because I just had a lot of feelings about it and a lot of reflections about our 5 years together that I wanted to put out on the table. And I'm a writer. I just express myself better in words. And so that was how I decided to approach it. Now there are no hard feelings. He's with someone else now. I'm obviously with my husband. And it ended up being a good thing for both of us. Like, yeah, like we cried and stuff because we had all that history together. But he did end up coming to me later and saying, thank you for doing that. Like, that was the wake-up call I needed, because he just wasn't stepping up as a person I needed him to be. You know, like he just, what, and I said that in my letter, like, look, I'm looking to get married and I want to have a family. And right now you're just, after 5 years together, I would expect you to be that. Like, I am giving 100%. I don't see you doing that, you know?
Would you consider yourselves friends right now? Like, would you consider yourselves friends?
Not friends, just acquaintances. Like, if it's his birthday, I'll be like, happy birthday on Facebook. And the same for me.
Okay.
Like, he treated me on my birthday, but he is very much in his own life now with this other person.
Right.
And I'm happy for him, because that's
such an interesting relationship to have, because you're acquaintances, but not in the traditional sense. You have all this history and you've changed each other. That's fascinating.
Yeah. But that's enough for me.
Yeah, let's steer back into this convo.
I'm the worst.
No, you're fine. This happens all the time. That's why I'm here. I'm the one who's
thank God for you.
I know.
Back on the path.
Like, oh God.
So let me just get a consensus here. So what is your, like, is it possible to have a platonic relationship with guys? Like, what is, like, if you had to impulsively answer, what would your answer
Definitely.
be? It is. Okay.
Yeah.
But so, Alethea, you're saying you're having a little bit of a not difficult time. It's just a little challenging navigating that, right?
Yeah, it is challenging though. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you have to be very clear. And that's why I was so curious, Meg, about your perspective being in a committed relationship and marriage, because sometimes I have to check myself, I think, because sometimes I get too close, I think, and I have to be like, whoa, like, I'm not dating this guy. Like, I need to chill out. Like, I don't know. It is very tricky to navigate, I think, as an adult, especially, and especially in the late 20s, for me anyway, because like early 20s, I felt like it was very easy, like, to be friends with everyone, you know, nothing really meant anything, but people are now coupling off, they're getting married. You do have to be a little more careful. And you do wonder, you know, what is someone's motive? Because I feel like the older you get, the more there is that kind of motive of, like, you know, looking for marriage or looking for something. But I will have to say that something that's helped me a lot is, as a musician and as an artist, we see boundaries very differently. Like, I am friends with guys in their 40s and their 50s that are musicians, and it's totally platonic. It's just like, we have this passion that we share, and we're like, they're like my mentors or like my uncles, you know, or just like literally my friends. And so I think that's what's helped me a lot, is like, if there's some kind of other passion that connects you. And I will say, honestly, my struggle too was, like, I come from a Christian background as well, and I think there's a lot of just tension. Yeah, it's like, depending on how conservative it is, like, you're not allowed to even be friends, right? And that, I think, is really scary and not necessarily helpful in the way that women can be friends with guys. So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's another can of worms. Because like with being a Christian, there's also that sort of unspoken expectation. Again, depending on how conservative you are, to get married, like, stat. If you're single, like, get married. So even if you're not looking to get married, if you got raised in that environment, you have this, like, it's subconscious, like, feeling of like, oh man, I'm fucking old, still single.
Yeah, that is a whole nother can of worms.
Need to get married. So I think there is that, though. I think there is that if you have that background. I think it's good that you brought up that they're in their 40s and 50s, these people you share a passion with, but also you share a passion with them. I think age does matter a little bit. Like, I have friends at work who are like fucking 40s, 50s, 60s, who are dudes, And we're friends. Like there's no there's no attraction there whatsoever, and they're really good friends. But I think the difference is that if someone is single and you're single and you both think the other person's cool, and you're like, this person would be a cool friend, and then you hang out and you're like, and I think that's where the confusion starts to happen, because you're both
there's definitely an
single.
assessment stage, I would say. So like in having guy friends, the initial part's kind of the assessment. And I almost wish I'd literally talk for like 2 hours to my friend Linda about this. She would be great for you guys to talk to too. Because she has a ton of guy friends, and we were talking about this because I tend to be at a point a little more tentative than her. Like she's like we can go into that later, but like even physical touch, like how close is too close, right? Like that's a whole nother aspect we can talk about. But I lost my train of thought.
It's cool. No, it's cool. I think physical touch, but that's the thing. Okay, so you said the assessment stage.
Oh yes, the assessment stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think when you're first meeting a guy and you're attracted to them, well no, there's the first stage is attraction or not attraction, right? If you're not even physically attracted, like, you know, like one of you may feel physically attractive, one may not, but that it can't really go beyond that, right? There has to be some kind of like sexual chemistry, right? And then if you're attracted, it's just like dating. You're getting to know them, and then at some point, you know, it's like you realize if you're compatible or not. And then when you're not, that's when it kind of goes into the platonic stage, I feel like.
Right. That's true. I think that's true. There is that initial, when you meet someone of your age group, of the opposite sex, we're assuming they're single, because when you meet someone in your age group who's attractive to you but is taken or like married, you automatically kind of have this, you turn that off. You're like, okay, well, that's gone. But we're assuming this person is single. There's that initial, you don't even want to do it necessarily. You're like, automatically, you're like, is this person compatible for me to date? So I think in that sense, if we're saying purely platonic, like 100% purely platonic, I think it's possible for people, like we just said, like who are in a relationship, who are like not in the vicinity of our attraction, like in their 50s or 60s. You're like, not, I promise you, I'm not attracted to you. If they're in your attraction pool, I think a purely platonic friendship with them probably is not possible.
I would disagree though. I disagree, because this is where I think like the whole Christian values, all this stuff, it's like I feel like just because there's attraction doesn't mean it's not platonic. Does that make sense? So that, like, and
right,
this is what
I
was
agree.
talking to my friend about, like, no shit, we're gonna feel attraction if they're in our pool, and we're, you know, and you know, it's hormones and stuff, but I definitely think there's a distinction between attraction
and acting on it. No, I agree. I meant purely platonic. I'm saying you can't achieve
what does that
100. I think you can't achieve 100%, like nothing, no tension here. Like I can think of a couple of girlfriends I have within my, like you can probably think of a couple of girlfriends who, like, you just know, like that's a purely platonic, like there's nothing else. There's just the friendship. But then I have really good guy friends.
Okay, can I make an example? I kind of agree with my sister on the definition of pure platonic, because even if you don't act on the attraction, if you know, or the other person has that attraction, even whether or not you're acting on it, just the knowledge that that is there, even to like a 2% degree, kind of taints it a little bit, and it's always in the background. So for example, like I was friends with this guy, my job, like, I don't know, like 3 years ago, and we were just messaging each other. This is when I was in my 5-year relationship. So like, I was like, this is platonic. We shared interests in like music. And so we were just casually messaging each other. He liked to write too. So sometimes we would send each other things we wrote just to get like feedback. And then it came to the point where he was just like, I'm really like attracted to you. And like, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I told him from the very start, like, I am in a relationship, and like our interactions are simply like writers exchanging pieces to like comment on. And he's like, yeah, I know you're in a relationship, but like I'm just really attracted to you. And so it just was never the same after that, you know? So to me, like him admitting that, and then he was like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm just letting you know because I feel like I have to let you know. We did exchange a few more messages after that, but it just wasn't the same because we're not acting on anything. He doesn't even live in the same place as me, but just the knowledge that he has that feeling towards me and I don't reciprocate it, you know?
Yeah. See, that's another
It's not pure
topic
anymore.
Is that if it's unreciprocated too. See, there's that other there's so many layers to this, honestly, guys.
There are. I love
But
this.
I think
This is great.
if you both acknowledge that the tension is okay, like if you both
yeah
that's what my friend was saying, Linda. So she's even more extreme than me probably in her views of platonic guys, where it's like, you know, it's fine for that to be there. I guess I don't know. I think you get to the point where you know a guy long enough that it no longer really exists also, if that makes sense. Like the attraction factor just kind of goes away, I guess. I don't know. Like you just know them so well. You're like, I can't. Like
there's
I know
just
a guy.
all these factors. It's like,
I know.
And I really think relationship status plays such a huge factor too, because for example, even though I'm married, like I have a friend at work who sits next to me, you know, this person, sister. He's also married. So it's like we have a lot of interests, and I really enjoy texting him about like, oh, did you check out this song? And we're both in marriages, but I find that knowing that he's married, I'm even more guarded than I normally am. Because I'm just like, as a person, I'm very social, whether I'm married or not. Obviously, like I'm not crossing any boundaries, you know? But because he is also married, I find that I'm going like an extra step to be sure, like, oh, like don't send like 2 texts in one day.
No,
you know
it's
what
true.
I mean?
And
like I am more guarded.
Mm-hmm.
So your relationship status like plays a huge factor in what that friendship looks like.
Oh no, totally. And that has been my struggle. That's what I was saying, is like I have to check myself a lot, because I do feel like one of the guys sometimes, and I feel like I over communicate maybe when they're in a relationship, and then I'm like, if I mean, I'm usually befriend the girlfriend too, but if I don't, that's really bad.
Yeah,
they think
I get that feeling like I'm like talking behind like someone's back, and then I know I'm not doing anything wrong. It's literally like the most innocent thing, but I really try to watch that.
That's an interesting topic, because so I've been in both situations where I've been friends with a guy who was in a relationship who I wasn't as close to his girlfriend, and also it felt like there was a strong attraction there. And on the other hand, now I'm currently friends with Jack. He doesn't want to be mentioned, but I'm going to mention him. I don't care. I'm currently friends with Jack, and he has a girlfriend, and I know her, and I like her too, and there's nothing there. So like those are two very distinct different feelings of like, one, it's like, oh, weird, it's like we're hanging out, and like I feel like we're flirting, but also you have a girlfriend. And then there's the other friendship where it's like we're just chilling, and like your girlfriend knows that we chill, and it's like purely like we're just hanging out.
And that's where like I really, if you know, because this is kind of a soapbox, I'm just going to use this opportunity.
Use that
No,
Zoom
I think
box.
it's super, super important that girlfriends, that women support each other. I think we should be more supportive of guys having girls that are friends, because I think it makes them a better partner. I really do. I think like that there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of false assumptions. At one point, I've been in situations too where I'm friends with a guy, and like they suddenly stop talking to me. I'm like, what happened? They're like, my girlfriend thinks like we're too, you know, this or that. And it's like, that really pains me, because I think we need to, I don't know, I think we need to be supporting it more as women, honestly, because I think I just think women have so much to teach men in terms of how to treat women better.
Yes.
And if we are trying to be equals too, like we need to open that up a little more, you know, and open up that dialogue. So
I agree. That's actually one of my points in my crazy outline here. I think
you have an outline.
opposite, it's horrible. It's too long. I think opposite sex relationships are valuable. I think because we're giving each other such different perspectives from our same sex friendships. We need that difference in perspective, and it's not going to happen unless we do actively, we do seek that diverse friendship.
And
group.
this is why it's so important that we're talking about it too, because Meg, like, you're in a committed, like, that's the problem, is there needs to be that respect, but also that's why it's almost like women who are in the position. Yeah. There has to be a lot of trust too, I think, with women for each other. And that's why I like to be friends with a girlfriend too, because I'm like, yo, I'm here for you too. Like, this is my friend, and yeah,
that brings up like just communicate. I mean, communication is just a big umbrella, but communicating with a girlfriend, but also communicating like what your expectations are in this friendship. I think that's what's missing in some of these friendships, because you're just like, oh, now we're friends, and you just don't talk about, like what you were saying, Meg, like you have certain expectations from different friendships that you have, and you probably have talked about it. But if you don't, then if it morphs, you're like, oh, but we never discussed this, and now it's happening, Before we move to that, we have to break. I'm sorry, Alethea. We have to take a break because it's really long now. Unless you want to say something real quick. Sorry.
Oh, we're just stopping it?
No, we're taking a
That's
break,
cool.
A little breather.
Yeah,
segment. Do you want to say it though if it's short?
Wait, I don't even know what am I saying? I'm just.
You're like this. You were like holding your mic up.
Are we almost out of time for her?
No, we have 20 minutes for her, but I want to get her favorite. God bless you. Oh my God.
You need to like edit that and make it like.
You can keep it.
I'm gonna maximize it. I'm gonna like blast people.
That can be our transition music.
Duplicating.
Like make it like a bop. Like no, we're gonna do a real quick. This might actually. We're gonna make this real quick. Okay.
You know what? You two can go first to share what you love, because I need to pee.
Are you serious?
Yes. Go.
No,
first.
I'm pausing it.
Bye.
Pause.
Yeah, this is great. You guys are good at this.
Oh, thanks.
She's good at it. She's the one managing everything.
No, but I love hearing your side too, because like. Yeah, I would kill. Oh wait, you're recording. I don't want this.
Yeah,
to be
no, you can give us compliments. You can give us compliments that I'm recording right now.
It's personal, unrecorded.
No, say it later.
No, not while we're recording.
Okay, fine. As you probably could tell, listeners, we're back from our bathroom breaks. Okay, so
bio break.
Oh yeah, bio
that's
break.
That's what we call it.
They're called. No,
because maybe you're not peeing.
No, I feel like that they should call it bio breaks, because it's like we could be doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Gotta do.
Like masturbating. I'm kidding.
Why not?
Ignore. Okay. Alethea, what were you saying about relationship status, etc.?
Oh, I was just saying, well, yeah, I think this is a great question though. Like how can men and women be friends when they are committed, when they are in a relationship? How do we keep this healthy, but also advocate like women and men being friends, So like, what does that look like? Like, what does an ideal friendship look like for someone who's married? And maybe Meg, you can speak to this, or in a committed relationship.
I think it comes down to the two people in the relationship or in the marriage. The trust, like while I would love in the ideal situation to know and be friends with every single female that my husband is going to talk to, I know that that's not realistic. And there will be, and I respect that he will have friendships that I won't know the person very well, just because it's not like the right circumstance. And I don't want to be injecting myself into those, because that's not my place. So it just comes down to my trust for him. Like, do I trust him? Yeah. And then he trusts me. And so that's really it. I think that's where it starts from. And then you just have to, like trust and respect the person. So, and I like how you talked about jealousy earlier, because that's a personal thing that I'm working on. I am like a very jealous person, and I don't like that about myself. And I'm trying to fix that. But yeah, it's just like accepting, like, look, males and females are always going to be talking to each other. And the fact that I chose to be in a marriage with this person means that we are committed to each other and we love each other and we trust each other. So I'm going to trust him. And it's just a lot easier on my energy and like my sanity to choose that place of acceptance and trust than always like wondering and like, oh, who is this person? Like, why am I putting myself through that? I know that he loves me. He's committed to me. So I'm going to choose to stay in that space. So I think that's where
I'm guessing like communication between you two is important too, right? Like,
for sure.
Like to develop that sort of open trust. Like I was listening to, what's his name? Dax Shepard. No, it wasn't his podcast. He was on a podcast with someone else. And he was talking about like,
who is that?
Kristen Bell's husband. He's an actor.
Oh, okay.
They're like goals. They're so great. They're like my goal if I ever get married. But they were talking about like one of the things they do is like they openly share with each other like which celebrities they're attracted to, and they're celebrities.
Oh, that's great.
So they have lists of like, yeah, this month I'm like really attracted to this person, or like so and so. Like they're really open about like, or like sometimes they would be out in a cafe and then she would, and then or something like that. I forget the details, but like they would openly talk like, yeah, that person, like I would totally go out with them.
I think that's so wonderful, and I want to start doing that too in my marriage. I think it's so important because attraction is not going to fade away just because you're with someone. We're human.
Yeah, that's what that's what his point was. No, that's what his point was. He was like, we're not taking away our like this intrinsic part of ourselves, you know.
And in that way, right? That circles back to like purely platonic. Blah, blah, blah. You can edit that.
No.
Platonic. No, but yeah, if purely platonic means no attraction, then no, it can't exist, because I do believe, unless like you said they're old, you know, they're not in your attraction pool or whatever. But if attraction is okay, then yes, you can't, you know. So like how you define it really matters, I think, because yeah, we're women and men. We are made to procreate with each other. Like we are attracted to each other, like whether we like it or not. It's just like biology, you know?
Right.
And I think we're also, and this is an interesting question too, and maybe a whole different topic, but of like, if we're made to be monogamous. And I believe we are, because I think we get that jealousy. So where does that come from? Right? Like, I think it comes because we are made to have a partner, right? And so if we don't, we feel like I don't know, but that's a whole nother can of worms, which I'm not even sure.
That's a great topic though.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because for instance, like I do look at people who are in a polyamorous relationship, like choosing to have multiple partners, and I see that some people are happy with that and it brings them fulfillment and they're not jealous, and seeing their partner with another partner that they're also partners with just adds to the love. And I find a lot of value in that, even though I'm not polyamorous and I could never be, and I'm always like monogamous. I look at that different relationship structure and I see value in it, and I'm like, wow, that's really great. And there are aspects of that I can practice in my own relationship, like the trust that I was talking about, you know. Just jealousy is not good, period, but I know it's natural, especially if you're in a committed relationship. So I think like fostering the trust, keeping open communication, you know, like I know, for instance, like maybe he'll have female friends that he's talking to, but I just don't want him to be like doing it in secret. Like I want him to be comfortable doing it like around me, because I would do the same with him. I would give him the same respect, you know. So yeah, I think it's a really good topic, and I don't know if you guys have.
And it is, and I actually dated a guy briefly who was in a polyamory. Is that the noun version?
Yeah, polyamory.
And it did it like, yeah, it is. It's like you get in a different headspace with it.
It just elevates you, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't.
I would just get so jealous. Like I would just get so jealous.
Jealousy. But that's the thing, is like, yeah, how do we overcome that as women to like support each other too? Like, but also respect each other, because there are some women that don't respect other women, and like there's a reason, you know, like that we feel jealous sometimes, like because a woman's like kind of, you know, subtly inching her way in, you know. So yeah, it is complicated. I would say that friendships with guys is not a simple thing, even though it should be in some ways, but I think because of the attraction factor, it's just not, you know.
Yeah, I think what you both implied is that you do have to make space for that extra layer in a opposite sex relationship, that extra layer of attraction. You just both have to acknowledge, like, yeah, we have this tension present here. We just have to make space for it in our friendship, and we just have to include that in our navigation. Like any friendship, any relationship requires navigation. It's going to have its unique challenges. It's nuances, and that's a nuance unique to like opposite sex straight relationships. Like that's just going to be there.
Straight too, because like women who like women, right? They face that. And yeah, there's a lot.
Right. And I was listening to I listen to too many podcasts, but I was listening to this other podcast where this gay guy has trouble. He wants to be in a steady relationship, but he's having trouble like discerning who just wants to be friends and who wants to just have sex and who just wants to be in a like they have their own set of challenges. Like, and so this one I think is very unique to opposite sex, like straight relationships. We just have to like make room and openly communicate about that.
And I think also to remember that just because the attraction's there initially doesn't mean it lasts. Like I've found
good thing
most of the time it doesn't, honestly.
I wanted to ask you guys about that actually.
Yeah.
Like so what do those look like for you? Like do you have current like friendships that like they're like good friendships, I guess, that started out romantic or sexual or friends with Benz, I don't know, and then like ended up being just a really solid relationship, like just a friendship? Do you guys have that, or have you had that experience?
I don't. It's the reverse.
Really?
I mean, I guess my ex, but we're not, like I told you, we're not friends. We're just acquaintances now.
Yeah, I think okay. But notice how you're in a long committed relationship and I am not, or have not been. So it's like, something's going on, Alethea. No, I think no, but honestly, like maybe that's a factor. Like I know I did date someone who was like didn't like the fact I had a lot of guy friends. So, you know, it's a lot of things. But for me, yes, one of my best guy friends who now is with someone, we initially, I don't know, nothing ever happened, but we definitely were like kind of interested in each other. And then, yeah, it just morphed into like purely platonic. And he's like one of my best guy friends. I'm trying to think of someone else. I would say it's often not the case if it is romantic, just because it's really hard to move past it. Like my ex, I really, really want to be friends with. And he just like won't respond to me. He can't handle it. So it's like,
that's so hard.
Yeah, it sucks, but
yeah, I know. I think I agree with that in the sense that it's hard. I think if it did happen to us, it would be the exception rather than the rule. Just because I think there was just so much romantic history there that if you broke it off, unless it was broken off in a very like the ideal way, and you still were able to be friends, then yeah. But I think for the most part, like breakups are hard. And then if you have to be friends after that, it's like, whew. In my case, I only have one where it started out. Oh, well, that's Meg knows about it, but it's like, man, I hope he's not listening to this.
I want to know. I know
if he's listening to it, I hope he doesn't get to this part. Like he stopped before this point. But we had that kind of friendship where we had a really strong attraction, and he was dating someone. Then they broke up, and then we finally hooked up because we were both single. And then it was like confusing, because how can it not be confusing at that point? And then I was like, we should still see each other, even though I knew it was a bad idea. And he was like, oh gosh, but we were, I don't know, because like we were such good friends at that point, but like tainted with this sexual tension that we acted on without talking about it, that he was like, I don't want to ruin the friendship. I don't want to, because he felt like he had to, if we kept doing it, he would have to pick between the friendship and that. But then I'm kind of glad he did that, because now we're pretty good friends still. Like we've been catching up pretty consistently every year. Like we would just Skype, and like it's like nothing changed. Like it's easy to pick up a convo with him after months, and like there's none of that. I think actually acting on that tension did away with it, because because now we're just like, I can't even, like, now he's in a steady relationship. I'm like not looking to get together with him at all. So that but I think it's an exception. I think rarely
because then it's
ever
almost like,
gonna happen.
so should you act on it then? Like, I don't know.
Right. I know. You're like, wait, Fran, are you suggesting to act on it so that it would go away?
Just have sex with all these guys.
It's like a case by case basis.
It's a case,
honestly.
exactly what Meg said, case by case.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
But it can fade if you act on it, which I think is.
Yes, I think it can fade. Actually, I think it can fade and without acting on it, like with distance. I think it's the only way is if they moved and you didn't see them consistently physically. And I think
proximity does play a factor. Proximity to the person and the amount of time. That's why they say love can grow. Like, even if you don't initially like someone, if you do spend a lot of time around them and you have that emotional bond, I mean, that's inevitably where it's going to go.
But
so
that
if you cut
is
that off,
upsetting to me, because that makes me feel like it's never special, because it's like, if you just say, you just spend all this time with this one guy, like you just end up, I don't know. I feel like it's true, and it's upsetting that it's true.
Wait, what is upsetting? That
it's
absence?
Upsetting because it's like it doesn't matter who the person is. It's just because you're spending so much time with them that those feelings.
I mean, it's more so with different people, but it's just like science, and it doesn't have to be romantic. Like even with friends, like there are people that I hated, but then we became really good friends later because we just gave it time. It's like watering a plant.
Okay, cool.
You know, but then if you're allergic to the plant, then it's never going to work out for real. So it's like, it really is a case by case, person by person basis. But you do have these like general guidelines, like scientific guidelines, like you said, we are made to procreate. So attraction is always going to be there. You know, proximity leads to bonding. That is a scientific, like psychological fact as well. So to some degree, we have those givens, but then it is a case by case basis.
It makes sense too, even if you take out the science, although of course science dictates it. But like if you hang out with someone you already like all the time, of course you're gonna like them more. But if you like someone and then they move and then you don't talk to them, you only talk to them like once every 6 months, like, and you're not there physically with them all the time, it's gonna do something. Like you're less around them, and then you're gonna be around with other people who are closer to you. So it doesn't mean it's any less special. It's probably just grows less strong, that attraction, because they're farther away.
I was just thinking if and it goes back to the purely platonic question, if you can be and we just answered that really, like, you know, it doesn't mean you're gonna fall madly in love with this person, but yes, like you're definitely more bonded to them.
Dude, I think you have to go. You don't have time, right?
Well, no, I actually,
No.
I have time.
No, we don't want to do that to you.
My phone. No, I have time. I need to call this 1 second.
Okay. No, Meg and I are going to keep talking. So I was just curious about your opinion of, there's two concepts that are popular out there. One is friends with benefits. The other is the friend zone. Two things that are almost opposite sides of the same coin. You're like, What are your thoughts on them? Like, well, let's start with friends with benefits. Is that a sustainable thing?
I think that's chill. I think it depends what phase of your life you're in and what you're looking for as a person and your maturity, all of those things. Like in my early 20s, I was very much about that, and it was totally cool. Like I was like, yeah.
You didn't ever develop feelings for the people you were sleeping with?
No, not really, because I wasn't looking for that's where it's
Okay.
like very dependent on your personal, like, what are you
Well,
looking
I think
for?
biology also does something to it, though. Like, I feel like the nature of sex, specifically to the biology of the woman, I feel like there's some bonding that happens.
Yeah, to some degree, like there would be people that I preferred to hang out with more, you know,
Yeah.
but there was always like the agreement that this is not going to turn into anything.
Yeah, you were like very clear.
Like we did like enjoy each other's company, and we hung out, and then we had the benefit part, but then we agreed mutually, like, this is not going to be like long term.
Yeah, like you were very clear with your goals.
Yeah, so I think like this theme, this overarching theme of direct communication and being clear is the guideline for whatever kind of relationship you're seeking, marriage, hooking up, whatever. Like, as long as you're practicing protection, you're safe with each other, you're communicating with each other, regardless what it looks like, I support it. As long as you have those things, you're being safe and you're respecting.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I support friends with benefits too. I just like, maybe it's a case by case too. I just, like you said, it depends on the person. Like, I don't know if I could do friends with benefits just because I feel like I tend to develop feelings for the person, not even like, oh, you're the person for me, like we need to be steady. No, it's just that immediately it's like, I just shared this intimate experience with you, and I don't know if being just friends is gonna work while I'm doing this intimate thing with you. But you're right. I think it depends on the type of person you are. Like, if you're able to compartmentalize.
I think it's easy. Yeah, it's easier for some people than others. Like, I think it's just.
Yeah, dude.
It wasn't a big deal for me to like turn off that friend part and be like, all right, let's do this now, and like.
Yeah. Although we're talking about the concept of friends with benefits and whether, not that we don't support it, we support it. Whoever wants to do it. No, I mean, whoever wants to do it.
Safe and you're communicating.
Yeah, if you're safe and communicating, we support your decision. But we're saying it's a case by case, and that Meg was able to do it in her early 20s. It's harder for me because when I do something so intimate, I automatically develop closer feelings with a person, not necessarily going out, but like it hurts when they're like, oh, we're just friends, like, because I already had sex with them. So it's just case by case, I think. The question is it sustainable? Being friends with benefits.
Sustainable, like, for what though?
Is it possible to stay friends, or is one person gonna then be like,
oh,
why are we not going out? Or is it sustainable for both?
Well, yeah, it depends on like the period of time you are practicing the friends with benefit structure. Of course,
I guess it's sustainable to the friendship. Sustainable to the friendship.
Yeah,
it's like,
the longer that you have that kind of dynamic, then every day is gonna be like one of you or both of you is gonna start to get into that zone of like.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on the amount of time, because I like.
Yeah.
With my experiences, it was just very like. It really wasn't a big deal.
It was a season. It was a season.
It was just a season. And it was like cool for both parties. And I'm like, yeah, it was cool. Yeah. And I could even like see them around campus, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? Like, it's just like super chill.
Yeah. What's your opinion, Alethea?
I haven't been able to do it, but I wish I could, honestly. I think it'd be cool.
You wish you could.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But yeah,
that's
I
cool.
get too attached.
You know what I've found though? Yeah, no, I agree with it. I get too attached. I just relate to that so much. But there was one season. I like calling it seasons. There was a season. When was that? 2 years ago, where I was all about like just casual hooking up. I don't know why. I was so late. You know what? No judgments. I was in that season. And I found that when I brought that up, there were a few guys who were skeptical. They were like, really? You just want casual sex? Like, you don't want anything else from this?
Is it because you were in your late 20s? Like they
I
assume you're
you
in
know what
that
I was
phase of
thinking
your
about that. I was
life.
like, why are they so suspicious? Like, I'm really not gonna attach anything to this because I'm in another country. It was in England. I'm in another country. I'm not gonna go out with someone when I'm leaving in like less than a year. But they were like,
Mhm.
"Are you sure?" And it makes me wonder, maybe because I was in my late 20s. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know.
I love going abroad for that reason. No, like there's like no
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
Wait, what?
Please
Sorry, for
edit
what
that out.
reason? For meeting peeps?
Casual sex.
Yeah,
No.
for meeting people and not
JK.
having
I
or
mean, that's
traveling.
the origins of my marriage. So
Oh,
not
whoa.
even
Oh, and look at
gonna.
you now. You're married.
That's cool.
That didn't happen to me. I wish I married an English guy. I wouldn't.
I
be
know. I was like,
here.
Fran,
I
why
thought you
Although
would.
they're
didn't
going
you
through
stay
their
I
issues
want my
too.
brother-in-law to be a British dude. Then we can have like a nice mix of peeps. Got your British dude, your Moroccan dude, and then us.
That'd be
Yeah.
So
well,
get on it, bro.
international.
I got about like I just have people in
God bless you.
like
Bless you.
Okay.
Wait, how
Right?
many more time do you have? Maybe we'll just wrap this convo up with your opinion on what's your opinion on the friend zone?
What
That's
on the
such a
friend
broad
zone?
topic. Friend zone. What is your
That's a
initial?
whole nother God.
What's
there's
your
so
like
much now.
guttural
Gutter.
response?
I
What's your
hate
gut?
being I will say I hate being friend zoned and I hate friend zoning people. I think
Oh,
it's
it's the worst
uncomfortable for both.
It's just
experience.
rejection. No one likes rejection. That's why.
Yeah, and no one, and it's hard. Honestly, it's hard on both sides. Like it's hard to reject someone, and it's
The
even
rejector.
harder to be rejected. Yeah,
Rejectee.
Yeah, which hurts more? I feel, or what's harder? I think being
mean, to be
rejected
rejected.
hurts
Yeah.
more because it hurts, whereas rejecting, you're afraid that you hurt them. That's
Well,
like,
it also hurts though, because like you're afraid of losing them. You know.
yeah, I guess it depends on the person. If
Yeah,
you're
I guess. Yeah.
close friends with them, there were a couple of people I friend zoned. Like I didn't want to, but I just don't.
How did you do it though? That's my question. Is how do you guys friends like? Do you specifically say I'm not interested, I just want to be friends, or are you like subtle about it? Because I'm very subtle. I try to
No,
be
I'm
like
pretty.
subtle.
I practice the whole honest and kind but straightforward. I
Yeah.
feel like if it's, I don't know, I just don't want to
Yeah, I'm
add
like
any
that
more
too.
I don't want to add to the leading on. Like even though I didn't do it on purpose, I don't want to add to any more ambiguity.
Yeah.
And
That's
it
how I
didn't.
approached that example that I said earlier. I wasn't
Yeah,
like mean, but I'm
yeah.
like, reminder, I'm
If
in a
you're kind
relationship.
and honest, it's you can't control how they take it. I think I said this before. You can't control how they take it if you're doing your part to be like, here's how I honestly feel and I care about you, but this is the reality. And if they blow up, that's something they need to work on. It's not on you.
But you have to be sure they have feelings for you before you do that, right?
Oh,
like,
of course.
Yeah. I'm talking about the.
Oh, you're talking about, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying in the early stages, like when you have determined you want to friend zone them, but they maybe haven't yet. That's when it's like subtle, like, oh, you're such a good friend, you know.
Oh,
or
like if you're getting
something.
the vibes, they haven't
Yeah,
like
you're getting the
openly.
vibes. Yeah.
Oh, that's
But no, if
a
they
Yeah.
clearly,
minefield.
yeah, if
In
you
that
aren't
case,
straightforward
yeah.
and they clearly like
Yeah.
you, that's no, that's no
Oh.
bueno.
Then that's where I think more subtle is a better approach because they haven't openly said anything, and so
That's
just
hard,
like
though.
start
It's
kind of
hard. Yeah,
being
it
careful of
depends.
how you talk and act.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I remember this one time. I'm not gonna go into it because we're like so over. But I could just tell he liked me, dude.
Yeah,
There's
you
just
can get.
no question. All the signs were there except for him just physically just telling me. Like everything else was like he was flirting with me in his own way. Flirting. I don't know. I wasn't into it. But and like giving me advice on like other guys I was seeing. He was like, you don't deserve him. Very much like if you guys have seen Pretty in Pink, very much Ducky. I don't know
Ooh,
if
I
this
want to see that. Is
reference
it a
means
movie?
anything. Yeah. Very much like the best guy friend who's like, I know what's right for you. The only thing he's not saying is, it's me. It's that's like the whole vibe was that. And I couldn't, and it was like, it got to the point where it was like, he's not verbally telling me he likes me, but I have to say something because it's just not comfortable anymore. This is a very lopsided friendship.
What happened?
Well, I was very young and I didn't feel comfortable saying it verbally, so I emailed it.
Hey, that's how I broke up with my ex. So
okay, fine. But he blew up
Fran,
in email. And you know who this guy was? I hope he's not listening to this either. He was an actor in the same studio, so I would still see him.
Oh.
I would still see him, and he was friends with my friends in that studio. So we would just be around each other, and I was like, I
hate that.
But in the end I was relieved. Guys, I was so relieved because then
it's stressful.
Wide berth after that. I was like, thank God. Anywho. Fine.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Any final
thoughts
on that?
Final words. No, just what I was saying before. Like, let's find a way to be friends with guys in a way that's healthy, you know, and trust each other as women in that. But also men, like, be friends with women so you can be better men.
Oh my God. This is my second time doing this. Sorry.
Hey, that was Mo.
Wait, doing what?
Your phone went off again.
You guys are great.
Oh, thank you.
It's okay.
I
didn't hear it.
Before you go, do you want to plug yourself real quick? Like social media, where can people find your work, etc.?
Oh, okay. So,
or not. I don't know what you want to do.
I'll be back.
I'm afraid they'll all hear. I think like if you Instagram. Okay, so if you like musicians and indie artists, please support me with that, guys. So all my handles are AKB Music with a K. So on Instagram, AKB_music with a K, Facebook /AKB Music with a K. And then you can find links to other stuff, www.akbmusic.com. All right.
Woo.
Bye.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for
being
here.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Okay, bye, guys.
See ya.
Yay.
Okay. Here's how I'm going to wrap this convo up. Here are some examples in the media of how opposite sex straight friendships have been portrayed.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any examples, but I already brought up Pretty in Pink, which I feel is really resonated with me when I was describing that friendship to you where he was just flirting with me. Because it was very much the vibe of like Ducky being like, none of these, you don't deserve any of these guys. You don't know what guy is good for you. You can't trust your own judgment on your romantic relationship because I'm the one for you. Like that sort of guy friendship is just, that's why I was like, the movie really annoyed me because I was like, no, I mean, it was in the 80s, but I'm just like, Ducky, like you can portray yourself as like innocent, but that's one of the more, if we're going to talk about masculinity later, that's one of the more like insidious forms of masculinity where it's like, you deserve me. Like you don't deserve to make your own. It's very underhanded. It's very subtle, but I find that very insidious. And there are guys like that who they're like, I'm the good guy. You can't hate me. I'm the good guy. And I know it's good for you. And that's one of the movies where I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, that's, is it called a trope? Is that the right word?
It's a trope. It's a trope. Yeah.
It's a trope that happens a lot. Trope. And then for me, I can't think of any specific examples off the top of my head, but it's just generally thinking of the media and how they portray platonic relationships between guys and girls. I think like for the most part, it's hard to think of. And if there is like a guy-girl relationship, it always leads to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There is.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Or if the girl does have a good guy friend, they're gay. I see that a lot. Like
yes.
the gay guy friend.
It's either they're gay or they start out as the friend that the guy doesn't like, and then they end up.
Yeah,
that the guy ends up being like, "Whoa, you are hot."
Yeah.
And go worthy of going out with. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always
have one, I can't think of one great example though of a true like platonic, supportive, respectful relationship between a guy and a girl that's where they're both straight. And that's, but you don't watch the show. It's Meredith Grey and Alex from Grey's Anatomy. Like they are both straight. They've both been with like different partners throughout the entire, like how many seasons of the show, but they are like such good friends that they can lay in the same bed together.
Get out of here.
Yeah, because they've been like with each other through like all these horrible things. Grey's Anatomy is a drama, right? But it's just like I've always looked at their relationship and admired it, and I'm like, wow, like it's really cool to see this kind of relationship between two people who are straight, and like, you know, when they have like problems with their own relationships or their own shit, there are people that they can continuously come back to year after year. And there is never that worry of like, oh my gosh, is he gonna hit on me or is she gonna hit on me?
Yeah,
They
that
know,
pressure isn't there. That
like it really is like a very true, solid friendship, and you can see that growing over the seasons. And so, if there are people who don't watch Grey's Anatomy, that is one redeeming aspect that I do enjoy. It's portrayal. Yeah, it's very surprising, right? But they do a great job showing that kind of relationship because I don't see it very often. That's the only example.
Yeah, I can't think of one where there's that utter trust in the other person that they really value that friendship, but they're not going to do that.
Exactly.
And in fact, support each other. Have you seen the movie Drinking Buddies?
I think so.
It
sounds really familiar.
It's in a Chicago brewery. Olivia Wilde and Jake Johnson.
I think maybe like I started watching it but didn't finish.
I think that's a good one in terms of a very nuanced portrayal of a friendship between a guy and a girl. They're both in a relationship. One is pretty solid, but the guy is going out with Anna Kendrick's character, and they have a very strong relationship where they're planning on getting married. And then Olivia Wilde is going out with this older guy, and he breaks up with her because she's a little too immature, and she is in the show. In the movie. And Jake Johnson and Olivia Wilde are really good friends. And then I think it does such a good job portraying like the little tensions there, because they are attracted to each other, but they can't go out with each other, and they don't consummate at all. They don't do anything of the sort, but there are points where they get super close. And there was this one time they were hanging out in his apartment, and they get drunk, and then they end up sleeping in the same bed, and they don't do anything, but you can tell there's a very strong attraction where if the circumstances were different and he was less in love with his girlfriend, things could have happened. I thought it was such a good portrayal of like a very realistic portrayal. And also it was just really greatly acted. It was all improvised.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
They were given an outline of each scene. Like, here's the parameters, here's what needs to happen in the scene, but you're going to improvise. It's so good. Cool. I was like amazed when I found that out, but that's because they're all really good actors. I would recommend that to you.
Yeah, I just looked it up and I got good reviews.
Okay, there's another one, but I'm not going to talk about it because we do need to close.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to move on. Yay to what we're loving this week real quick.
I guess I'll just do one thing because that's for time.
Fine. You don't have to.
Am I going? Well, that's really all that I can think of at the moment.
Okay, say it.
Okay, I've really been loving so delicious cookies and cream, coconut milk ice cream.
It looks so good.
Like, it's just so good, and like the perfect balance of
it's so
cookie
delicious.
batter, and they have like little sprinkles of chocolate in there, and I just love coconut milk in general. And I love it in frozen desserts. Too. Like I love almond milk and soy milk too. But there's just something about coconut milk that gives it just like such a good flavor. So I just saw it at the grocery store and like, I'm going to try this. And I just really enjoyed it. It's so.
You didn't even catch my dad joke. I was like, it's so delicious.
Oh.
I know it's too late. Okay. Here's I'm going to do a quick twofer. One, Ramy season 2 is out. I recommend this to you. It's on Hulu. Ramy. It's from the experience of an Egyptian American Muslim. Like, how can you? And cool. It's hilarious.
I have a friend named Ramy who's Egyptian in Morocco.
Dude, you need to watch it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
Oh, good. Second season is out. 2, I'm not going to go into these because people just need to trust me and that I have good taste. 2, Rae Jepsen's dedicated side B album is out. Her B-sides. She has this tradition of like the year anniversary after her album comes out, she releases the B-side. So, oh my God, it's so fucking catchy. I was listening to a podcast with her recently, and she was like, my goal with this was to make an album that was good to listen to while you're cleaning the house. It's all of that and more. It's like she delivers plus some. So everyone just Please. Oh, do you listen to the band Wolfpack?
What kind of music?
Never mind. But anyway,
I listen to a lot of playlists on shuffle, so I never listen to full albums anymore. So probably, yeah.
Oh, you probably, but you know the guy from Fun, Jack. Shut up.
Oh, yes. I love Fun.
How do you say his name? Antonov? I forget, but he's a collaborator with her. He co-wrote and like produced a bunch of the songs. But anyway, it's really good. Okay, we did it.
Yay.
We did it in less than 2 minutes. That's a rare.
Oh, this show looks good, Ramy.
Dude, it's like, honestly, I would watch it with you. It's the best show.
I think Mo would be in.
Can you please watch it? Too. Please. He could tell you if some things are, but it's a very unique perspective. He's an American through and through, but he has.
Yeah, that's why I feel like Mo would enjoy this.
Yeah.
Show.
I highly recommend, like 101%.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're gonna close now. Do you have a quote of the week, or do you want to just go with the ones I got?
I like yours. I just use my app, but we can change it out.
Okay, so here are a couple to throw into the ring. Here's one by whoever this person is. I should look this up. This one is by Thyra Samter Winslow. She said that, is it a she? Wait, just sorry, give me one quick sec. She was an American short story writer, novelist, and film story writer. Okay. She said, platonic love is love from the neck up. I don't know if I agree with that. I agree in the sense that your genitals aren't influencing anything in the friendship. But I feel like my platonic friendships with people I'm not attracted to still have the heart in them and like the gut in them. Like the
show Love is Blind is a perfect example of that. These people formed very non-platonic relationships without even seeing each other. Period.
Yeah. Wait, what's your point?
Love is blind.
Yeah, but
she's saying like from the neck up, like, but I'm saying you don't even need any.
Oh, you don't need anything at all.
Anything.
You're just adding to her. It's an extra layer. Okay.
Yeah,
but I don't agree in the sense that other friendships that are platonic, you still have a guttural feeling. I need to stop saying guttural. You still have a gut feeling about them. Anyway, next quote. This is by Unknown. We all know Unknown. Besides mutual admiration, the first requisite of platonic friendship is a subtle trace of disdain.
Wait, what? Can you say that again?
Besides mutual admiration, the first requisite of platonic friendship is a subtle trace of disdain. Like you need a trace of disdain.
Yeah, I guess.
Combined with your mutual admiration of of each other to be in a fully platonic relationship, which I guess is like kind of accurate, but also like kind of hurtful. You're like, I don't find you hot enough to date, so we're gonna be just friends. Which is like, I guess, a good quote for the friend zone, but also like that's
perfect for that.
A little bit crass, but that's what we're working with. Okay, that's it for us, everyone. Yay, we did it.
This is a cool topic.
Yeah, it was a really heavy topic that 60 minutes is not enough for, but anywho, so Meg, where can people reach us if they have any opinions about this or if they even disagree with anything you said?
Okay, so y'all can find us at Deep Convos Pod on Instagram. There is no cast. Okay, but we do have the cast in our Gmail.
Yes, it's Deep Convos Podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
And if you want to reach us personally, my handle on Instagram is at Fran Salas and Meg's is at meg.salas.14.
Gotta have those dots in there.
There's a lot of dots. Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.